創業式無限に Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me, as always, is my good brother here in the temple, the man of 1,000 runes, the CEO of Zadari Enterprises, and the bane of my fucking existence, good brother Xanatrix.
Zadari Enterprises would like to remind you that while living out in the middle of nowhere is good for your mental health, it's not so good for punctuality.
Now, especially since we are in road construction season, you would think some of that road construction would be handled in the early summer, but nope, everybody's got to get everything done all at once in the fall.
Yep.
That's how it is. That's how it is where I am. They closed off a good. Not only is a good chunk of the highway near my place closed off, but also the entire west atrium of my office is closed off, and the front parking lot, which means everybody's got to go to the loading dock in order. The back end parking.
Yep. No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it also means that by the end of the week, I have to pass by the dumpsters, and I think you can imagine what the smell is going to be like when you're dealing with an office that has an occupancy of about 900 to 1,100 people.
Yeah, that dumpster's going to smell pretty rank.
Mm-hmm. And that's 9 to 1,100 per day.
Oh, I know.
But we are back once again covering the other half of character creation on Flux Fantasy. Last time around, we mainly focused on some of the more important bits, but we skipped over powers because powers was too big to be put in that one section.
Yeah, we did literally everything else about character creation and left powers to its own devices.
Mm-hmm. And the big reason for that is, as mentioned, powers. It was a case of we either include it in the main one and have a episode that's about as long as the Yggdrasil incident, and that's something we'd like to avoid.
Hey.
Or we have a situation where we split it off. And
not to mention, I feel that with something as unique as Flux Fantasy is, and the world that it's built on, from Flux Destiny, giving powers its own spotlight is apropos.
Yeah. Now, for some of this, we are going to be revisiting the 4 major types of karmistry. Which, for those who need a refresher, the 4 major types, and there's a bunch of subtypes, are going to be escape artists, ink fighters, secret agents, and clockbots. Each of them
4 major users,
yeah.
I guess would be the better way.
I guess I would refer to them as the 4 crystals, if I want to go that far.
I mean, we could just say schools and studies, since I think those were the internal...
Yeah. And even within that, there's still a wide variety of potential.
Oh, yeah.
Now, with that said, this section is going to be all about karmistry powers, and we've covered how karmistry works. You spend karma points in order to use it. Spend too much, you trigger payback. Trigger way too much payback, and payback gets worse and worse and worse. But
until payback eats you.
Yeah. But there are workarounds. And a big part of the game loop is figuring out how to utilize those powers and skirting the line so you don't have to deal with too much of the payback problem.
Which is why in universe most karmistry users who are really good at it are called escape artists because they have tricks of the trade to escape the payback, to avoid that karma coming back on them.
There's a small part of me that wonders if Chris went with the name escape artist because he watched a magic show in Vegas or something. Which, if that was the case, then we're never going to hear about it because you know about what happens in Vegas.
No, I don't know about what happens in Vegas, Monk. It stays there.
You know, just like how you're never going to hear either of us talk about the Roppongi incident.
There's no such thing. There is no war in Bossing Say.
There is no war in Bossing Say, and there was never a Roppongi incident.
Exactly. But the other part of that, Monk, I was going to say is there is a term, karma Houdini. And Houdini was an extremely famous escape artist.
Well, we've got that. And the funny thing is that'd be the second time I brought up that sort of magic show trickery in something on the channel. The last time was when the guys behind the Winter King decided that they wanted to cook again. He says no, it wasn't in Vegas, but it was a magic show. It sounds like.
We'll probably never know.
You know, it's like how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
They actually had a machine figure that out.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I think it was.
It was like I don't remember.
It was around. It was over 1,000.
Something like that.
I prefer 3.
I don't, because biting into a Tootsie Pop is a bad idea. Unless you've gotten it down, unless you've gotten it thin already.
You know, maybe you can give it to Jaws. He'd probably do that.
Yeah, he probably would.
Anyway, we open up with powers. Unleash the potential. Powers are the specific karma abilities and weapons that define a character's combat prowess and versatility. Outside of combat, your abilities and tech are only limited by your creativity and what you have in your inventory. Then we have starting powers. Sorry, carbonation. As you level up in the game, more powers will become available. Initially, you start with the basic level powers at Tier 1. We do have a sidebar, tips and tricks. Only one power can be active at a time during combat. Switching powers requires a quick action. Outside of combat, switch powers freely without restriction. So we have 2 basic attacks. One must be non-karma based, used as often as your karma pool allows. 1 basic defense, always ready for combat, as long as you've got the KP. 1 basic locomotion, move swiftly and strategically whenever needed. 1 basic signature move, your standout move, usable once per combat. And 1 combo, a collaborative attack usable 2 times per combat. There is a small part of me that's wondering if somebody was taking notes from the AEDU formula from the edition we're supposed to hate.
I don't know. I don't feel like that fits the same tiering system that AEDU does.
No, not directly, but in spirit.
Maybe.
The point is, I could easily see someone having a hand of cards to represent their arsenal.
Oh yeah.
But then we have creating a power, and I'll let you take that.
Okay. Flex your imagination when designing your powers. Each study has the same statistical limitations, but the names and specific abilities are yours to create. Use your journal or the back of your character sheet to detail your powers. Each power should be fueled by a concept or idea that inspires your character. We've got a breakdown of the power. We've got damage, which indicates how much damage the attack deals on a successful hit, which we'll talk about more in how to play on attack turns. That'll be later. And range, which determines how close you need to be to your target. 0 means you need to be in the same square, 1 is adjacent, and so on. From there, we've got some example powers under first biochemistry, specifically elemental biochemistry. The A basic attack, Flame Burst, a quick burst of fire directed to the energy, a basic defensive Water Shield, basic locomotion of Earth Shift, the signature move Thunder Strike, and the combo Elemental Fury, where you combine Thunder Strike with an ally's power for a massive elemental attack.
Alexa, play AC/DC. No,
I'm not going to do it.
Actually, no, I'm not going to go with AC/DC. That's too obvious. Go with Ingve Malmsteen.
We also have an example in Clockwork Karmistry. Basic attack Gear Grind, which sounds like what it is. Basic defense of Time Shield, which slows down incoming attacks. A basic locomotion of Chrono Dash. The signature move Temporal Blast, which distorts time around the enemies. And the combo is Temporal Fury, where, once again, you combine your power of Temporal Blast with an ally's power for a massive time-distorting attack.
Sounds like Quantum Break if it was better written.
Poor,
i.e.,
poor,
if it was
poor
actually
bar.
written by Sam Lake.
Low bar, Monk. Low bar.
Yes.
But we've got some levels of attack here. As you level up in Flux Fantasy, you'll unlock new and more powerful abilities. When it's time to advance, you can spend your skill tree points on your skill tree to gain some serious upgrades into your attacks. Powers are split into two main categories, basic and advanced, each with different tiers. When you level up and hit a new tier, it's time to get creative and come up with a fresh set of powers. Don't worry, you'll still have access to your lower tier abilities. Sometimes those old school moves are exactly what you need. Yeah, to keep your karma spending low. Keep all your powers documented in the Learned Powers section on your character sheet for quick reference. This way, you'll always know what tricks you've got up your sleeve. And then there's Advanced Level. Hitting the Advanced Level means it's time to bring the pain. At this stage, you can assign one of your talent modifiers to your attacks, boosting their damage. When crafting your new powers for the Advanced levels, think about which talent modifier best represents your attack's essence. But here's the catch. The power boost is only available for combo and signature moves. You can't have it all, but this extra edge will give you a serious advantage in combat. Example, imagine you're an Ink fighter who just unlocked advanced powers. Your signature move is a flaming roundhouse kick. Pretty awesome, right? Now you can decide to add your agility modifier to the damage of that move. Talk about kicking it up a notch. That's a pun after my own heart. And then there's a small little bit here about karma usage. Each level of power will have different karma usage requirements. Always note the KP costs beside each attack for easy access during gameplay. Your powers define your combat strategy and your character's unique flavor in the game. Keep experimenting, evolving, and most importantly, make it real.
So the first set of powers we have is for Escape Artists. Unleash your inner cosmic engineer. The realm of Escape Artists is where the impossible becomes reality. As masters of Karmistry, you have the power to twist the fabric of the universe itself. Your abilities range from conjuring elemental forces to animating the inanimate, making you a force to be reckoned with. Be ready to impress and dominate with your unique brand of Karmistry. And we have non-karma attacks. These are your bread and butter moves that don't drain your KP. You can use them anytime, anywhere. Every player needs at least one non-karma attack ready to go. So your punch, your running kick, and your bite. Punch does 3 damage, range of 1, no effect. Running kick is 2 damage, range of 2, no effect. Bite is 4 damage, range of 1, no effect. I'm guessing you can only do bite when you got a grapple. Advanced level is listed as coming soon. And then we have Creative Karmistry, starting with the basic powers. And the way it ends up working is we have essentially five different stats.
No, 5 different columns. Those are for the types.
Yep.
You have your karma attack, your karma defense, your karma combo, your karma signature, and your karma locomotion.
All right. I would advise putting in something to make note of those abbreviated terms, like some sort of anatomy of the, for lack of a better term, power grid.
I mean, it basically is a power grid.
Yeah, it's I'd say a better power grid than the one Marvel had back in the day.
Yep.
I mean that both figuratively and literally. If anyone remembers the Heroes World incident.
Yep. But yeah, this is the basic powers grid for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 creative chemistry. Having at least a legend for the table would be a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Just for those who aren't quite getting it.
Yeah.
Even though they would have read earlier about the 5 basic pieces of a move up in your starting arsenal. Just having the reminder there is necessary for people that are quick referencing.
Yeah. But for example, a Tier 1 attack power has damage of 4, a range of 0 to 2, no effect, and a karma cost of 5. Whereas a locomotive version has a range of any, gives +1 to movement for that turn, and costs 3 karma for each square moved.
Yep. And there's as was explained earlier, the powers are always going to have the same statistics. How they end up thematically playing out is going to be determined by, well, your character.
Mm-hmm. And given that we do have a collection of bullet points on inspiration for powers, I do hope in a further version there is a example appearance of each type.
I'm not sure an example appearance would be necessary. I know these are very good examples given, Monk.
Yeah.
We have some very detailed inspirational examples, such as object creation. It says conjure tools, weapons, or art pieces from thin air or raw materials. Craft whatever you need to overcome obstacles or enhance your environment. That's a very good example. Same with material transformation. Alter the properties of materials, turning coal into diamonds or wood into steel. Adapt the world around you to fit your needs and artistic vision.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, like, if they wanted to add extra art for it, that'd be really fun, but I don't think it'd be necessary.
Yeah. But then we have clockwork chemistry, which works on a similar manner.
It does have different. It does look like it has different, slightly different statistics.
Mm-hmm. Like, for example, the attack does 4 damage, has a range of 1 to 2, but still costs 5 karma.
Yep. The change there is that it has a slightly better range if you want to go for distance, whereas the signature for clockwork versus creative is a shorter range, meaning you're in closer and meaning you're probably in higher danger. But it compensates with that with 1 additional damage at 7 for the signature.
Yeah. And
so there's trade-offs for every chemistry.
Mm-hmm. It's also a little bit. Actually, no, never mind. I thought there was a difference when it came to locomotive, but not really. It's the same relative amount.
Yeah. The differences aren't huge, but they are enough to imply a play style.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I would point out that karma costs seem to be standardized, which is good.
Yeah, they're standardized with these two. Then we have biochemistry, and let me check. Yeah, it looks like even these two are standardized. So there does seem to be a standard range when it comes to the karma cost.
Well, with creative chemistry, the defenses and such also changed. Like, creative chemistry has a +3 and a +4 to defense in the 2 tiers of basic, whereas clockwork only has +1 and +2, and bio has +4 to +5 in the 2 tiers. There are differences. They're subtle, but like I said, they imply a play style.
Yeah.
I'd also like to note that a lot of biochemistry seems to have further ranges. Their attack range is 1 to 3. Their signature range is 0 to 3.
Yeah.
That's a long range, but in the trade-off, they lose the higher damage that most signatures seem to be having, and are instead long-range, consistent damage.
Yeah, with biochemistry, it does talk about healing. I have a feeling that when we get to the advanced level stuff, when that's revealed, this standardized setup is going to have some significant changes.
I'm sure that's the case. We know, as we both have discussed, this is a beta book. This is not the full rule book as will be released to everybody else. The advanced levels aren't currently available here, but they definitely, just looking at what we have so far, even though it's small changes, small information, it definitely informs a play style, and because of that, you kind of look forward to what the advanced levels might be to see exactly how it dives into that play style.
Yeah. Of course, then we have, and of course, with each of them, we have potential ones. I do find it amusing that the shape-shifting inspiration is referred to as cosplay chemistry.
I love that. That's great.
And with super senses, I'm sorry, but all I can hear is, what do your elf eyes see?
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
I'm not apologizing.
You shouldn't either. Now, I'd like to point out that with machine chemistry, we definitely have a distance attacker here. Their basic attack is range 3 to 4, which means you can't hit in ranges 0 to 2. Only their signature can attack within 0 to 4. But that means that this person is meant to sit back and do stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I like that there is that variation, that the range really does inform a tactical position within the team.
Although with the way the inspirations are described, all I can think of is the engineer in 2 Fort.
No, Monk, I've got something better, and it's going to be a deep cut for us.
What?
Satsuki and the Beast.
Fuck you.
You invoked X1999 on me as a fucking blind hit the other time. It's my turn to hit you back.
Yeah, I had that one coming.
Yeah. That Chekhov's cannon went off.
But
the big reason one there is both mechanical constructs and cyber chemistry, which is just straight up described as technomancy. I love that.
Yeah. And of course, the last one for escape artists is quantum chemistry, which
Quantum chemistry is your DPS. You can tell by the fact that everybody's in close with high damage.
Yeah. And this one does have the power to move you.
That's telekinesis, Kyle.
But of course, then we go into Ink Fighters, and I appreciate that on the art here we have a few tattoo examples. There was a couple of 5e books that I backed on Kickstarter recently that focused all on tattoos as a kind of magic item, so it's nice to see this sort of thing.
Yeah. But we also see here that their non-karma attacks really do show their whole we are fist fighters sort of karma users. Their basic level attacks have high orders of damage. Like, the hook is a 5 damage at range 1.
And
now I see that the ranges don't vary. Though I have to wonder, how do you get a roundhouse 3 squares?
hurricane kick.
Tatsumaki Senpu Kyak! Or if you want to invoke a different meaning, I'd like some pound cake!
I mean, let's be honest, with the uppercut does 6 damage.
At range 0, though, you have to be in the same square.
Yes, but you have seen the Ken flowchart.
Shoryuken Shoryureppa!
Also known as the Claudio Castagnoli School of Combat.
I'm just going to Shoryuken you to death. That's it.
I mean, remember, his finish was the very European uppercut. Which...
Oh, I know.
And well, I think he had a shirt that was just uppercut and uppercut, just going all the way down. So he's well aware of that fact.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, the alternative is was the Ricola bomb, which is, yes, he ends up making that keg.
Now, looking at the actual powers, starting with melee, we actually see that between the two tiers, you don't get just the straight doubling of damage. Yeah. It's just an increase of 4 across the board.
But before that, I think I should read off the description of Ink Fighters.
Sure.
Ink up and throw down. Ink Fighters, it's time to get your hands dirty, literally. With sigils inked into your skin, you're a living weapon ready to unleash fury in every punch and slash. Whether you're summoning mythical beasts or transforming your body into a deadly arsenal, your powers are as diverse as they are deadly. Grab your gear and let's paint the battlefield red. I cannot hear living weapon without thinking of Iron Fist.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they can do such high damage at close range really hammers home one of the signature abilities of Ink Fighters. Foregoing their movement action to do another main action.
Yep.
So,
but like I said, looking at the melee powers, the tier 1 basic power, the basic attack gets a 4 damage hit, the combo is a 5, and the signature is a 6. And they cost what we've been seeing standard as 5, 7, and 10 respectively. But when we get to tier 2, they don't double like with the escape artists. Instead, they go up to 8, 9, and 10, which is an increase of 4 damage across the board. And the karma costs don't double either. They instead go 7, 9, and 13, which is an interesting increase. It looks like there's a trade-off because you're using those sigils, since you have the additional cost of needing a syringe to recharge your tattoos.
Mm-hmm. It gives the vibe that it can be pretty powerful, but they can't be as freewheeling with karma as escape artists.
Yeah, because it's limited by what they've tattooed and what it does.
Mm-hmm. There's also an extra note on them of Ink Fighters can learn a second non-karma attack within tier 2.
So again, it's showing that as it was explained in their lore, they are first and foremost actual fighters. Mm-hmm. So learning a second non-karma basic is showing that, hey, even if our tattoos have run out, we're still gonna kick your ass. Mm-hmm. We don't need the karma sometimes. Sometimes it's just a good old knuckle sandwich.
Yeah. Because the first one we have is melee, the second one is projectile, which is going a range of 3 to 4 for attack and a range of 1 to 5 for signature is interesting.
Well, and so in this one, and remember a range of 4 for combo. Mm-hmm. It means you can only do your combo from 4 squares away. It enforces that they're using projectile tattoos. And the signature being, from 1 square away is kind of nice, because it means you could do it right after moving out of melee when you've been using your non-karma moves. Because the non-karma moves are where you get your 0 and 1 range attacks that you can just use willy-nilly. And once again, we're seeing the same standardization between tier 1 and tier 2 here. it's not doubling like escape artists were, but all the damages increase by 4, and we get that 7, 9, and 13 karma cost increase as well.
But I do like that even though they are, even in something like Melee, despite being fighters, it's not like you have to be in someone's face all the time. And in fact, depending on what you're doing, you may be better served not doing that. But what also came to mind, and this was somewhat hinted at when we went over the Ink Fighters last week, is the combo potential I saw immediately with the Grappler class in Sword World. Now, for those unaware about the Grappler in Sword World, which I would advise fixing that. Go look at the fan translations. We just got Barbarous Rage, fucking last night. But the Grappler is basically the monk of Sword World. It gets the chain attack feat right out of the gate, which lets them do 2 attacks in 1 action. Of course, the catch is they're not, when it comes to certain weapons, they're only going to be proficient in wrestling weapons and armor that can be equipped by grapplers. But because of the fact that they have a bunch of different approaches to attacks, because they have their punch, kick, and throw, they can do 2-hit combos right out of the gate.
Yep.
Let's see, then we have the animal one.
The animal one has some similar ranges to projectile, except a slightly closer basic attack.
Mm-hmm.
And some lower damages.
Yep. And then body, which I'd say body is akin to an adept in Shadowrun. I know I said that last week, but it's hammered home here. But even with
or an enhancer grappler in Sword World.
Mm-hmm. Which I'd say enhancer grappler is one of those classic combos you're gonna see in Sword World.
It's a bread and butter for sure. But they get some nice damage, and they have a bunch of 0 range or 1 range abilities. But they don't have quite the huge range potential that other parts of Ink Fighters do, which makes sense since they're body enhancers.
Mm-hmm.
They also look like they're getting the healing abilities in the advanced level section. I don't know if that was intentional or just a copy over from previous.
I could see it being intentional.
So could I.
You know, if they're the masters of their bodies, they're probably going to be a lot tougher. So, you could think that you've taken them out, and then they're like, "I didn't hear no bell, bitch."
Mm-hmm.
I am kind of interested how one would do a ranged attack with body, since their powers do have a degree of range. Like their attack is 0 to 2, their combo is 0 to 3, their signature is 1 to 2.
I mean, if they can enhance their body monk, why can't they go Mr. Fantastic with it?
I suppose that's one particular angle, and I suppose another would be dividing the bodies so that you could do a rocket punch.
I think I don't know if that one would work so well even with Karma Monk.
No, but somebody's gonna try and push for a rocket punch eventually. You know it. I know it.
See, if I were gonna do it that way, the way I'd do it is, it'd be like I punched so hard the air compressed like an artillery shell.
That I'm willing to go with, especially since one of the inspiration entries is muscles. And
okay, no, fine, okay, Monk. You want to know how you do a distance attack with a fist?
How?
Go watch Mashal. Mashal of Magic and Muscles. Go watch Mash do anything. The man can crumble castle walls with the air pressure from his punches.
That, and we've seen certain fighters in various anime do the finger flick and end up making that into a ranged attack.
Yes.
I suppose one of the extreme examples might be Sniper in Yu Yu Hakusho.
Sniper didn't exactly do it with the finger flick, though. He marked people with a piece of his key and then accelerated the object towards that as a marker.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite the same.
Yeah.
But yes, I understand what you're saying.
And then we have, of course, Elemental, which I do like that because of the setup, there's two potential ways, at the very least, that somebody could do the elemental bending that you see in Avatar. It's just what approach do you want to take? Do you want to do the melee and mid range, or do you want to do a more up close affair?
Yeah. And they also have some close range stuff that's actually pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. But then we have Special Agents, and I'll let you read off the descriptor for that.
All right. Suit up, Special Agents. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, involves using cutting-edge karma tech to outsmart, outgun, and outmaneuver any threat that comes your way. From stealthy infiltrations to heavy firepower, you've got the gadgets and the skills to handle any situation. Prepare to dive deep into the world of espionage and tech-powered combat. Time to go undercover.
Although with the art that we've got for the guy, I'm like, is he going undercover in the Old West? Or actually more in the Prohibition era?
Yeah, he looks like a noir-level undercover secret agent.
It's the hat and the coat. And
that is a wide-brimmed fedora.
Yeah, possibly that gun belt as well.
Yeah. I'd like to note that their basic level attacks are gross. A baton for 4 damage at range 1 to 2, self-defense moves at 5 damage for 0 to 1, and a taser at 6 at 0. That's gross.
Yeah. They are at, once again, close range, but though with the baton, I know it'd be tempting to think, it's probably just a nightstick. I'd say I would probably visualize it as him throwing as someone who throws a nightstick who's really accurate with that throw. You know, like every Latino mother with la chancla.
I can see that. But I think that the reason it's range 1 is because most batons are the length of your arm already.
Mm-hmm. But that's how you could do. I see it said he's supposed to be more of a country level sheriff, like National Karmistry Authority member. So close enough, I guess. I'm just trying to figure out if that's supposed to be a lever action rifle that he's holding, or that's supposed to be a stick.
And you said county level, punk. That's a rifle for sure. You can see the stock. You can see the trigger guard.
Then we have the scout. We have the scout power set.
Yep, and I'd like to note here that once again we're seeing a little bit of an adjustment on how the powers play out. Their powers, when they go from tier 1 to tier 2, increase less, but the and the karma costs increase a little more than they can compared to Ink Fighters. But that's also probably because of the effect that everything has when they hit tier 2.
Also, the text was kind of small when I had it at full, but I had to zoom in on the tier 2 effects. This is where the anti setup comes in, because like their attack, combo, and signature does extra damage to escape artists.
Plus 2 damage to escape artists when it comes to their tier 2 basic powers. Mm-hmm. And it looks like that's consistent across all of the studies.
Yeah. Probably because, well, escape artists are the most famous type.
Well, they're also the most numerous.
Mm-hmm.
Escape artists, I know we didn't go too far into the lore and things, but escape artists are regulated by Fortuna. That's why there's the academies and everything. And if an escape artist decides not to follow karma law, the secret agent is essentially, as Chris pointed out, someone who is a county level sheriff from the National Karmistry Authority.
Mm-hmm.
The National Karmistry Authority has to come in and go, okay, you're being trained and licensed by this country, and now you're breaking our laws. I'm specialized to take people like you down.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is. However, my suggestion here is, if the National Karmistry Authority is supposed to be anti-karmistry law enforcers in general, there needs to be that particular effect in their tiers as like a package. Maybe some specialized fighting escape artists, some specialized fighting ink fighters, some specialized fighting clockbots, and some even specialized fighting other secret agents, because maybe some of those secret agents have gone rogue. So, big suggestion here, Chris. Some sort of maybe packaging system for the secret agents that allows them to choose what that tier 2 effect is going to be for their basic stuff.
Wasn't that kind of the intent with Anbu, that they part of their job was to clean up when it was to deal with shinobi who had gone rogue?
Yeah, the Anbu Black Ops from Naruto were absolutely about, they were anti-ninja ninjas, yes. And so I can
say with one of my projects, the censors, that's pretty much what they are. They are the mage hunters of the magicians' guilds. Yeah.
And so the secret agent has been loosely described in not so many words as the anti-karma users, the anti-karmistry karma users. I would assume that the National Karmistry Authority pulls from the ranks of actual escape artists who have graduated from any of the Fortuna academies. Whether that's Wolfgang there in Andromeda or not is immaterial. But the big thing is that if they're meant to be an overall law enforcement of some sort, there needs to be a variety. There needs to be the ability to choose the path you specialize in. And while I know that, again, we know this is a beta document, we know that this does not represent the final product, but heavy suggestion, secret agents should have a choice on what their +2 damage goes towards. But that choice, once made, needs to be locked in. It shouldn't be something they can switch on the fly. Maybe switching at the checkpoints, like how you can sometimes switch a few of the other things, so that maybe they can do a little bit of adjustment, but not a lot.
I could see it, and unlike, say, favorite enemy in certain rangers, there's not as many potential
pitfalls,
and not as many potential pitfalls.
It's an entire category of karmistry users, so that's a wide swath of things.
Mm-hmm. But then we have the bodyguard and the operative. I do appreciate the showcasing of the different gadgetry here.
Yep. And it looks like the bodyguard also gets the abilities to heal.
Mm-hmm. The operative is what we described last week. But I'd say if there's anybody who's going to be doing sneaker things, it's probably the operative.
Yeah, because they're tactical.
And the last one that we have in them is the Tinker, which let me zoom in on it. Rotate to start. Although that watch there looks like a better version of the Omnitrix, I will admit.
It's the X.
Yeah. But they are. I'd say that they are a bit of sniper, but only when it comes to their non-base attack.
Mm-hmm.
And but then we have clock bots.
Gear up for glory. Clockbots activate. Well, hold on. Clockbots activate. There we go. My best impression and very poor impression of Optimus Prime. You're the mechanical marvels powered by Karmistry, and you've got a mission to fulfill. Whether you're creating decoys, blasting enemies, or providing critical support, your abilities make you indispensable on the battlefield. With your unique design and tech-savvy skills, you're ready to show Fortuna what true power looks like. Let's get those gears turning.
Let's see.
And it looks like he couldn't get a lot of the art assets in for the different clockbot types.
Yeah, but they have a pound, a metal fist, and a shoulder check. Let's see. We have decoy. Then K, which is the D type. K type is Karmistry Assist. And then M type, which is medical, and will also include the ability to heal. H type, which is heavy, which is self-explanatory, and then X type, which is experimental.
I'd like to point out that the medical type also has the highest defense. +5 and +6 to their defenses, with their basic karma defense.
Mm-hmm. Which certainly makes sense. I get the feeling that if there's an art update that has it's probably going to end up looking like a schematic of the different clock bots. If the theme that we're keeping to is any indication.
Well, I know that earlier when we looked at the studies for those clock bots, there were pictures of them there.
Yeah. I think the big thing when it comes to it is that we have a nice baseline for each. However, I have a feeling that where things are really going to get interesting with each is going to be advanced level, because I have a feeling either there's going to be a bigger emphasis on effects with advanced level, or there's going to be potential ways to mess around with powers beyond the basic 5 types that we see here.
Yeah.
And even with that, the fact that there is that baseline, that's more about how one describes the effect, ends up meaning that Karmistry doesn't suffer from the problem I've seen a lot of games that need to account for a bunch of different power sets have, like say Supers games.
Mm-hmm.
And I know one might argue, well, that wouldn't be a problem because this isn't the same kind of Supers game. Technically speaking, no. But you have powers that have, figuratively and in some cases literally, endless possibilities. And there's the temptation to try and fill as many of those as possible. Whereas in here, we just have a baseline. It could be argued that a dividing line between normal attacks and signatures could be used, but I don't think that would be necessary. I think the concept of signature move is ingrained enough in the zeitgeist to put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
That being said, this is when we start to get stuff that covers the advanced level. I do think this is something we should revisit, be it as a one-off or something else, because I think that how advanced powers are going to work is something that will put a lot of this into context.
Not only put a lot of it into context, but it's going to sell just how customizable your character really is.
Mhm.
And full disclosure, Chris is a good friend of both myself and the monk. So we definitely want his game to to succeed. So being able to show off more of what the game can do and interest more people is a shameless plug, because you cannot shame that which has none.
There's that, and there's also the fact that I've always applied the rising tide approach. I want every game that I showcase to do well in one form or another. Especially since more eyes on them means they get more support. More support means there's more things for me to talk about, which closes the loop, which makes the loop all that tighter.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my challenge from last week is still in play.
Hey.
You see what Ella had said. We do very much appreciate that. It's depending on when we get it, it may be something that we do a little house cleaning about in a future episode of this season. It's just going to depend on when. If not, it's something we'll do as like a one-off discussing stream.
Yeah.
The key reason that I'd want to see that is there's differences in range and damage and all of that. But I think that the advanced level powers are going to be key to establishing what makes each study of Karmistry unique.
Yeah, we want to give you any feedback we feel will make you make the best version of your game as you want it to be. For those who aren't here reading the chat as the live is going, Chris said that they appreciate our honest feedback as they're preparing for their final version 1. And as I continue to say every Valley, whether I'm criticizing or praising, everything I say comes from a position of I want this game to succeed, especially when it looks really cool. There have been a few games where I've seen it missed a lot and I want it to be improved. You can find plenty of those episodes in the past as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing here is that I've read some of Flux Destiny. Full disclosure, I am reading Flux Destiny on Chris's Patreon. But being able to play in that world as somebody I can design to be as cool as any of my various OCs, the ideas of how I can build that are already kind of there. And absolutely, with the advanced Karmistry, the advanced level of Karmistry understanding, it would give me an even tighter focus. And so I think that by showing that once we get the advanced level powers and everything, even if it's outside of the season with just a Flux Fantasy follow-up or something like that, is going to definitely spotlight and showcase the real way that this game is going to be focusing. How you're going to be able to focus on what you want to do within this world.
Mm-hmm. And if there's one thing I do want to hammer home when it comes to the power system here, it's that there is an understanding in this project of something that we've talked about, that a lot of people, when they want to try and take TTRPGs and make them anime, end up missing. And that is the notion of making more versatile characters right out of the gate. Because of the wargaming background, you've got a lot of designs that have characters set up to hyper-focus on melee or range combat, or hyper-focus on casting and whatnot. But something that we see with a lot of characters in anime, in manga, in wuxia, and so on, is characters that have a mix of both. even down to the baseline in somebody like Goku. You've got a even before he started throwing energy blasts around, you had a mix of melee and ranged combat.
Yep.
Going on, and in that same vein, you look at characters in, say, Avatar. You look at characters in FMA. You look at characters in Naruto. You look at characters in all of the bigger shonen battle manga, all of the seinen affairs. Hell, even Guts. A lot of people focus on the Dragon Slayer, but it's not like that's the only thing in his arsenal.
He has a cannon in his arm. Remember that?
Yeah, he has a cannon. He has a repeater crossbow.
He doesn't really use that much later on, though.
Yeah, he has throwing knives. You know.
Yep.
And even beyond that, when you look at a fight in a lot of those series, there is a lot of movement. There isn't just get to the front of the line and just hack it until it dies.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of dance of death.
And with the different ranges that we saw with a lot of the powers here, maybe it's just me, but it feels like there's a much larger emphasis on positioning, which is another reason why I end up getting flashbacks to the edition we're supposed to hate. Because that one very much had an emphasis on positioning. And I will note for anyone who's not familiar, the reason we call it the edition we're supposed to hate is because so many false narratives have been spread about that particular edition, that being 4th edition.
Yeah.
And whenever I find somebody who is not on that hate wagon, I consider them a man or woman of culture. Because, the hate for 4E got so widespread that it crossed the threshold of just being cool to hate. You know, like hating on New Coke.
Yep.
So if somebody is not jumping that wagon, it shows a degree of integrity. You know, I actually like this thing, even though everybody talks shit about it. But I'd say the final word when it comes to powers is I like what I'm seeing, but our assessment is really going to depend on how the advanced powers shake out. So what we have to say on it is somewhat limited at this time.
However, while what we can say might be limited, I would say that it is intensely positive.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolutely here a great structure that we're seeing, a fantastic foundation. And while, as everybody knows, we make the suggestions we make so that it can only get better, we can't wait to see what else is coming.
Yeah. Now, technically speaking, next week we will not be covering Flux Fantasy. And the big reason for that is our 3-in-1 rule. Next week we will be covering a one-shot look at Atlas Adventum. As is our 3-in-1 tradition to cover a one-shot or something light. So please look forward to that when the time comes. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
as you please.